Mario has gone up against many villains in his time. A mushroom with legs, a worm wearing shoes, a gorilla in a tie. But before he owned a tie, his biggest rival has always been Bowser. And with newer games having the villain be just Bowser, it's kinda giving the impression that Mario's villain gallery is kinda stale. I mean, come on, anytime Mario's girlfriend goes missing, you can either bet she's playing tennis or this big lizard stole her. Not much variety going on. Plus, as the titular villain of the Mario franchise, Bowser probably isn't even that cool. I mean, what is he? He's just some giant, rambunctious emo turtle who had 8 smaller emo turtles. Okay, scratch that, he's actually pretty cool. He's had sex at least 8 times. But in all seriousness, even though Mario's villain gallery might seem stale on the surface, the number of enemies in the Mario franchise is big and massive. And even though it might seem like just Bowser, Mario probably has the Guinness World Record for creatures trying to kill you. I mean, if you just take a look at the Mario Wiki real quick, you'll soon realize from the small goons to the big bastards, the amount of variation in Mario enemies is actually extraordinary. But some enemies just don't get the love they deserve. So this video is my love letter to all the murderers and murderees in the Mushroom Kingdom. This one's for you. You don't get enough attention for how colourful you look, whilst getting stomped on by an Italian man. Oh, and you better get excited, boys, because we're about to learn the history of Mario enemies. It's gonna be fun. The sheer volume of Mario's enemies in the 80s and 90s is absurd. Now, this might have been just the developers having fun, or it might be Mario going through his growing pains, but during this era, what a Mario game was constantly evolving. Just think of this period as Mario's teenage years, but with dinosaurs and shit. After Donkey Kong in 1981 in his hit game Donkey Kong, and everyone's favourite Turtle entered the ring for the first time in 1985 with his jarring colour palette, we ended up getting some pretty weird chaps taking on Bowser's spot. So who's the first on the list that we had after Bowser? It's the guy from a game which isn't actually a Mario game. It's Wart the Toad! Not like an actual Mario Toad, like a real Toad. After this, Mario headed over to Sarasa Land on the Game Boy to save Princess Daisy from Tatanka the alien in the hit game, Super Urinal Land. Get it? Because the game looks like piss? Jumping over to the Super Nintendo, we fought Bowser again in Super Mario World, and then back on the Game Boy we fought my favourite scum of the earth in Super Mario Land 2, and then Bowser again! But as a fetus. So the 80s and 90s for Mario was a great mix of different villains. Everyone still knew Bowser was Mario's main rival, but there was still an abundance of new characters. But then, we enter the third dimension. And that concludes our budget. Mario 64 set a new standard for video games, and what better way to kick off this new dimension than with Mario going head to head against the King of Koopas. And no one else ever again. From here, the mainline Mario villains haven't really dared to have any other villain take up the role of Bowser. They've either retired, or, if your name is Wario, start a get-rich-quick scheme and avoid paying your employees. What a phenomenal guy. So as time went on, modern mainline Mario games just seemed to stick with Bowser, and just Bowser. Which I'm definitely complaining about, Bowser is the tits. However, the stereotypical modern Mario game really plays it safe. Fortunately, there's a thing called... You see, the enemies Mario encounter completely change depending on the game genre. For instance, Mario RPGs have a completely different way of taking down enemies compared to regular Mario games. It might not be as simple as just jumping on a Goomba's head. You might have to do something different like encountering the enemy, choosing an attack, waiting your turn. Doesn't that sound like fun? Since this playstyle lacks the limitations of a 2D platformer, they have way more creative freedom when it comes to designing the enemies. And this is where the Mario RPGs seem to get away with, holy shit guys, we have complete creative control, we can do anything we want, f*** it, let's make the final villain a bean! So as mainline Mario games started focusing on the core cast of characters, most Mario spin-offs, like the Mario RPGs, ended up with completely new enemy and villain designs. Bowser would maybe make an appearance, but he was hardly ever the main threat. And I think the Mario RPGs have a much more weird and memorable diverse set of enemies and character designs just because of the type of games they are. Since these games are based around story, they don't really have to deal with the same character design blueprints as other Mario games. And Mario RPGs is where some of my personal favorite Mario enemies come from. Midbus, Mr. L, this tiny bean man with glasses. And actually the game where Forful, the tiny bean man with glasses, is the main villain, a blue, even more evil Bowser is the final boss, and Bowser is the main character. whilst Mario and Luigi give him irritable bowel syndrome. However, Mario RPGs and Mario spin-offs don't only introduce us to new enemies and new character designs, but also adapts existing Mario enemies to become full-fledged characters. Just giving standard Mario enemies different outfits alone adds so much personality to them and actually makes them feel like individual characters, even if it's just a different color or a pair of sunglasses. But mostly it's a choker. However, even something like this isn't that common in Mario games anymore. In recent years, Mario RPGs have seriously toned down on original characters. It's all just Koopas and Toads. Lots and lots of Toads. Sure, the characters might be more recognizable this way, but these games are based around stories. But talking about the Mario franchise as a whole and not just the RPGs, it may keep using the same enemies over and over again, but there's a good reason for it. They're good. And I don't know about you, but I consider a lot of the standard Mario enemies icons in the video game industry. And I can prove it to you. Drum roll, please. Do you get where I'm going with this? When Piranha Plant was first announced for Smash, so many people went up in arms about how he was a wasted character slot and a bloody plant. But come on guys, show some respect to the plant, because what is Smash all about? Video game icons. Mario, Sonic, Piranha Plants. By definition, he's an icon. Now, of course, there are some outliers by this rule. Looking at you, Corrin, you twat. But for Piranha Plant being in pretty much every Mario game, you can't deny that his fame deserves him a spot in Smash. And sure, you might lash back in saying, oh, the designs are weird. Okay, cool. Sure, they do look pretty weird, like, what is a thwomp when you really think about it? But in my eyes, that's what makes them so great. And some of the history behind the designs is equally as weird. Just as some games like Legend of Zelda is based on Miyamoto's childhood experiences as a kid, going in caves and exploring forests and stuff, the same goes for small details in his games, such as our little friend here, the dog. According to the Mario Wiki, Chain Chomp is actually inspired by when Miyamoto was almost attacked by a dog, but it was pulled back by its leash. So, that's a fun fact. Shout out Thomas Game Docs, he was the one who I found it from. But as interesting as a middle weird dog ball thing and a plant is, there is still an abundance of other characters which are just left out of a spotlight. So many characters in the Mario franchise are just gone unnoticed nowadays. And this isn't just for enemies, but for all characters in the Mario franchise. And yes, I know, we do get new and unique new enemies in brand new games, but they are always one and done. I don't think we'll see any of these octopus Goomba looking guys from Mario Galaxy appear in anything else ever again. Or like, what about an older game like the dragons from Super Mario World? And for the record, I'm not saying these guys should replace our standard marketable chestnuts, turtles, and scary masked gentlemen. No, I'm just saying putting these guys in a modern game after 10 to nearly 30 years absence would be so cool to see what these guys would look like with today's visuals. And same goes for villains. It would be so cool to have another one of Mario's rivals take on the role of Bowser. And I'm not saying I don't like Bowser, I mean, look at him. What's not to like? But I think the main reason they keep using Bowser is because they don't need to use anyone else. Bowser's personality and design has been refined to a T after fighting Mario over countless years, to the point where he's the perfect rival. I mean, I think this is just a thing which would happen with any artist after refining their character over and over and over and over and over again. But whilst we had gross, ugly color palette Bowser to the Bowser we know and love today, and Mario with his puke-colored hair to now where he has individual mustache hair, old and unloved characters get chucked out with those eras of Mario. And that sucks. And although it would never ever happen, it would just be so cool and so amazing to see these guys back on a brand new modern adventure. I mean, really, I just want them to use this dragon again because he looks really cool. In the end, so much goes into how Mario enemies are designed, and a lot of them get left out of the spotlight of pain. I mean, just imagine what Mario games would be like without enemies entirely. They'd actually probably still be pretty fun. If you take anything away from this video, just try and think of the enemy's perspective now and then. Bowser's underlings have probably lost the most family out of anyone to a single entity wearing a red hat and having a name beginning with M. I should, purchase a new hat. And you know how I can afford that new hat? By you becoming a Patreon! This isn't a joke, I'm being 100% serious. No, but really, I actually have a goal on my Patreon where if we reach it, I'll be able to buy new hats, so I can wear new hats depending on the video. So let's say I do a video about Mario, I'll be wearing a Mario hat. Let's say I'm doing a video about Zelda, I'd be wearing a Link hat. You get it. But yeah, thank you to everyone who you see on screen, as well as thank you to my good friends Jack Damia and Aroa for helping me make this video. Noah did the fantastic 3D section, and Jack helped with a bunch of different backgrounds, so they are both very appreciated. Along with that, I want to quickly say that I do have Christmas merch. I know it's like so late, and I'm sorry, but if you still want to purchase that, it's still available, and I'd really appreciate it. Thank you to everyone who watched this far. I'm sorry I haven't uploaded in 2 months. I feel bloody terrible. I feel like a bad person. I'm still planning on uploading 2 more videos before the year ends, and with that, I hope to see you guys there, and if not, you should check, like, my Twitter or something for updates. I don't know. I'm around, okay? I'm just working slow. I need to hurry it up. I'm so slow, and I'm sorry. I'm gonna try and get more efficient in the new year. That's my New Year's resolution. Alright, I have nothing else left to say, so bye.